Zach Wilson was offered back that job. It doesn't really matter. Zach Wilson does not want to be abused by the fans anymore. Zach Wilson doesn't want to be abused by the press anymore. Zach Wilson doesn't want to be thrown under the bus anymore. And I know Aaron Rodgers has never been put in this situation because he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of this era. And he also played for one of the greatest franchises of this era. And he's respected around the league because of his talent. Zach Wilson is not respected around the league because of his talent. Zach Wilson's talent shown to us this year as garbage. He is not the same player that the Jets thought they were drafting at number 2. You understand what Aaron Rodgers is doing for his teammate. He respects Zach. He knows that Zach Wilson rooted him on when he was a kid. He was his favorite player. Aaron Rodgers was Zach Wilson's favorite player. And he has a lot of respect for Zach because he's been working out with him in the offseason with him and getting to know the kid. But I understand why the fans have attacked him. I was one of those fans for the last couple of years sticking up for him with all the storylines behind the whole Zach Wilson saga over the offseason and why the Jets didn't decide to trade him or let him go in the offseason when they brought Aaron Rodgers in, because they thought if Aaron stays here for 2 or 3 years, Zach sits behind Aaron Rodgers, maybe he develops into a fairly decent quarterback. Nobody would have expected Aaron Rodgers falling after 4 plays, ending his season. And nobody believes that Aaron Rodgers now, where the Jets have a 0.2% to make the playoffs, that he is going to come back and be Mr. Savior, Mr. Superman. That would be a very stupid move for the New York Jets. That would be a very stupid move for Aaron Rodgers. But when you're on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron speaks up and he sticks up for his players. He thinks that the team has played really, really hard and that he believes that the fans and some of the people that work for the organization should keep their mouths shut, that it should be in-house. Aaron played in Green Bay. You're in New York. The press is all over the place. They're hiding in your lockers. If you're taking a shower, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody has a mic sitting up there by your faucet waiting for you to say something in the shower that would cost you or bring something up in the newspapers. Aaron has been a very good teammate this year for a lot of these young players. He's helped Sauce Gardner develop into a more likable person. I think Aaron's really hidden some of the things that other players have said on social media, been the voice of what the Jets are this year. And he blames himself, and I respect Aaron for that. He speaks that if he didn't get hurt this year, maybe the Jets would be in a better position. Maybe the Jets would be in a playoff contention. Maybe the Jets wouldn't have lost yet this year. But there is no way that Zach Wilson should be something that's coming out of his mouth and sticking up for. You cannot stick up for a quarterback that has done nothing this year to show any growth. I understand he played well in Kansas City. I understand he won that game against the Eagles. It wasn't because of him that they beat the Eagles. It was because of the Eagles beating themselves. The only game that he actually showed up to was against Kansas City. I was on a boat trip, and I had the opportunity to almost break a TV because of the bad, terrible ref calls at the end of the game. Aaron has to step away from Zach Wilson. Stop protecting the kid. I understand that you're like his father, a.k.a. Big Brother, but there's no excuses for a quarterback to be asked to step in as the starting quarterback. You're an NFL quarterback. You're making $12 million a year as a rookie. Nobody should deny not taking that quarterback 1 job when it's offered back to you. Where the Jets are at as an organization, they have fallen backwards. Everybody thought they were moving forwards with some of the acquisitions that they made in the offseason. You bring in another good running back. Everybody thought that that was going to give them that 1-2 punch that they needed. It hasn't worked out. Breece Hall hasn't been really touching the ball as much as we expected with Nathaniel Hackett's offense. And there's a lot of questions with this offense. I don't know if this offense really clicks. Garrett Wilson, he's being double teamed. They don't have a number 2. They don't even have a number 3 right now. Gibson, he's not seeing the ball. He's not catching the ball enough. It's either Garrett Wilson or bust. And then they use the tight ends. We thought they were going to use Ruckert this year. Ruckert hasn't really played enough this year. He's been more of a blocking tight end. Looked really good in the preseason. And then you have Conklin and Asuma. Asuma is just a waste of space. They should not be paying him $8 million a year. And Conklin, he hasn't seen a ball enough this year. So I don't understand how this offense is being run. When you see Zach Wilson drop back 40 times, it doesn't make sense. You're not going to be happy to see Zach Wilson on the field on Sunday. All you're going to see is a kid making mistakes and not finding a way out of them when he makes them. He keeps making the same old mistake every single time he steps on the field. There is no corrections to his mistakes. And the kid doesn't see the field like you would expect a starting quarterback that's been in the league for over 3 years to figure it out. Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't understand why the Jets are letting out stories like this out of the locker room. And I understand that the Jets should get to the bottom of where these stories are coming from. But how about the player? It could be maybe one of the players that you like or you wouldn't think that would come out with a story like this and feed it to the press.